The Gek is officially out of the water in Raiate Carenage in French Polynesia. I hauled my boat out, flew back to Maine for about a month, visited my family, bought a ton of boat parts that I need for this big refit that I'm doing to prepare my boat for my sail west, which will end in New Zealand at the end of the season around October, November. This episode is all about what I'm doing in the boatyard, so please come along, sweat with me a little, let's have fun. Welcome to Wintipy Sailing. I'm single-handing my Grind 27 around the world. I started my trip in Maine with a very cold 10-month overhaul of my entire boat. Solo sailed through the Caribbean, the Panama Canal, and 41 days alone across the Pacific. I've been cruising in French Polynesia for the last year and a half, kiting, spearfishing, freediving, and of course fixing all the things that break on my boat. Aboard the Gek, I have no fridge, water maker, fancy electronics, and my rowboat is a dinghy with a sail rig. If you're interested in seeing my daily life, check out my Instagram @BoatLizard. Okay, enjoy the episode. Day 2 in the boatyard. It's 6:15. Since the guys have a 4-day holiday at the yard, I'm going to take these 4 days to do a small amount of laundry each day so that it doesn't overtake my boat work schedule, but so I can actually hang stuff up to dry without it getting covered in fiberglass dust. So I've just done a little bucket of laundry. These are my clothes from the plane and the work clothes that I wore yesterday and the work clothes that I wore the day that I left. Now I'm about to make some breakfast, and then I'm going to get started on taking everything out of the Laz again and installing these hoses that I bought yesterday. Okay, the first hoses that I'm replacing down here are my internal scupper drains, and that's because I can't replace the cockpit drains until I put in the new through hulls, which is not on the agenda for today. So first I have to get these things off. I don't know if they've ever been changed in the entire history of my boat because they look like shit. This is an old hose. It's super brittle and the hose clamps are super rusted, and it looks like they used some sort of glue adhesive here, so everything is just it's not gonna be straightforward basically. But when our boat project's ever straightforward. Oh, like the cockpit drains, this system isn't ideal. I'm not crazy about internal scuppers. I'd rather just have holes in the rail. But this runs to this bilge pump, so this I have the option of putting a hose down into the bilge underneath the engine. But this whole thing needs to be rebuilt. And then it tees together under here. Oh, you can't see it all. But basically both sides tee together and then they go out through a through hull that's just above the water line. So I'm replacing all of this hose, and ideally these would not also tee together. I really hate that design, but at the moment I don't have a better option and they work, so I'm not going to change them. So this hose clamp and the one below it are actually so corroded, or so rusted, that I can't even get them undone with a screwdriver, so I'm bringing in the big guns. PB, blaster, and vice grips. Well, this is one way to get it off. Oops. I got the old hose off, and I discovered that there is a difference in size between the barb fitting where the bilge pump junctions off to and the fitting that goes through the deck. So I have just squeezed the hose onto the deck fitting. It's a little too big. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it because that's not ideal, but right now I just need to get it all connected back together so that if it rains again, my deck drains, and I'll figure out a solution. I'll be with my dad. The solutions master. So now I've just marked this hose here. I'm going to cut it and put it back onto this fitting and then just work on the next section. But yeah, this one is a little too big. It's day 2 in the boatyard. I just used a chopstick to fix a chronic flooding problem that I've had on my deck. The boat next to me has been shop vacuuming for the past hour. I'm covered in sweat, blood, mold, and dirt. And I still have at least a week to go. Next on my list is installing my bilge pump. So I just replaced the hoses on the deck drains and those look really good. I fixed the, there was a blockage in one of the scuppers. So my deck has internal scuppers, which I'm not crazy about. And there were some clothespin ends that were stuck in there, so I took a chopstick and I kind of squidgied it around and got the ends out. If you would like to see what was blocking it, not the paper towel, I used that to clean out, but it was this. Very exciting. Did not know that clothespins could fit in those scuppers even, so next is this guy. I'm going to put this under my engine and it's going to go to the through hull that the cockpit drains currently are going to, but I'm giving those drains new through hulls. So my dad and I sort of were trying to figure out how I could attach this to the bottom of my boat without, you know, just drilling into the bottom of the boat. So he built this base for me, and I'm just going to epoxy the base onto the bottom of my boat. And this is going to be all set up. I'm going to prep epoxy and then get out of the las because obviously I don't want to be stuck in an enclosed space breathing in epoxy fumes. Let this set for a couple hours and then start cutting the hose and making the leads. I have my vented loop here, and when I was in the States I wasn't sure about through hulls, so I bought a step up because I think the through hull is this size and the hose for the bilge pump is this size. We'll find out. I have some used hose clamps. And let's go. Alright, yesterday I said I was going to start in on big important projects today, and I wasn't lying. I am starting off with stuffing box. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Didn't really know what these looked like before I bought this one, and I'm still not really sure. For whatever reason, my brain is just jumping over this particular little gap that it should be filling in. And I have a very detailed drawing that my dad helped me. He explained how to change this thing out for me, and I wrote it down, and I don't really remember what any of it means. So I'm just going to start by undoing things and seeing if I can recognize any of the pieces that I'm working with. And I'm going to figure it out. Just go slowly. Everything looks super rusted, which is a good sign. It's not a good sign. So this is what it looks like down here. I definitely can identify the flange that I have to get undone, where everything is rusty as fuck. And then I think the reason I have to do that is because that is the somehow associated with the prop shaft, which is probably under all this stuff. And I need to slide, I'm guessing this is the stuffing box. I don't really know. Also, I'd also like to note, thank you in advance for all your comments telling me how I probably could have done this better. Wish you had told me that while I was trying to do it myself, but it's already been done by the time this video is up, and it probably worked, so that's all. So, by my brilliant detective work, I'm guessing that this is the old stuffing box, because this is the new one. They're kind of the same color. I'm just kidding. They are, though. They're kind of the same size and the same situation. Oh. So, what I think is that this comes apart, and then I have to push the prop shaft back far enough that I can slide this off and slide that on. Flange progress. This has been insane. It's so rusty. In the last month of my engine having this leak problem, basically all the important bits were sitting underneath salt water because every time I started my engine it just instantly flooded. so it's really rusty, really stuck. I've sprayed it with PB Blaster twice and let it sit. I finally got 2 bolts out, and I'm able to use my cool new tool. This is a Leatherman that has all different wrench sizes in it, and I need 2 half-inch wrenches and I only have 1. So I was scrambling around my boat trying to see if I had a spare wrench and realized I have this bad boy. So you can see all the little different wrenches that it has, and then it also has 2 screwdrivers and a pointy thing. Here's the flange herself. So I've gotten 2 of these bolts out, but these 2 are stuck and they're really annoying because I can't get anything under this because the oh my gosh, my words are failing me. It's really tight here. Well, I got 2 of the nuts off on the flange, and the other 2 are just, the heads of the bolts are so inaccessible. I can't get any tools around them. Vice grips aren't holding, and I'm just gonna start rounding off the ends if I try anymore. So it's the end of the day. It's almost 6. I'm gonna put everything back in the las. Unfortunately, I have to do that every night because without fail it pours rain every night. I think because we're on the other side of the mountains and the weather just stacks up on them. So anyway, I'm gonna put this away back in the las. There's only 1 shower in this boatyard. 1 shower and 1 toilet for the entire boatyard. And that is my only complaint about this boatyard. So it's almost impossible to get a shower. Yesterday night I bathed by the light of the moon with a pot by the spigot crouching in the dirt underneath one of the derelict boats. Tonight I might be more civilized and fill a bucket with water and take a shower in my cockpit, but either way, I'm a little down. I feel like I haven't accomplished everything I wanted to do today. Just trying to not get too discouraged. It is 6:05 in the morning, day 3. I have some more laundry in the bucket. I'm doing my sheets today. Today's day 2 of no yard people, so super laundry times. I'm about to make some breakfast, and then today I'm gonna get started on the blisters on the bottom of my hull. I got a little discouraged yesterday with the flange, and I'm just gonna let it sit for a bit and tackle this, which, I mean, it all has to happen, so yes. Coffee first, maybe. Alright, this is my first day of doing the epoxy blisters, so I have all my materials assembled in the cockpit. These 2 epoxies are almost out, but they have the nice pump bottles, so I have these replacement ones. I think I'll just fill the bottles up with this because it makes it really easy to measure. My colloidal silica, 2 different sized putty knives. I cut these little stirring sticks for the epoxy, and then I have my epoxy mixing cup. And I think that's everything I need. I'm going to bring the blue bucket down and put a cutting board over it to make sort of a table. And I might bring the other bucket down because I think some of the higher up stuff is a little too high for me to be able to reach on my short legs. Alright, this is my workstation. This is my 2 bucket workstation. So I have my epoxy, my colloidal silica filler. This stuff is almost empty, so I have new epoxy there. All my tools, and this is my situation. I also had them raise my water line a little bit, and there are some blisters up here too, so I'm just gonna start, I'm gonna start on the rudder because there's not much to do here. I can feel like I've already accomplished something. It's nice to start early in the day because it's not as hot. And I'm starting on the port side of my boat because the sun comes up on the starboard side, and then once the sun's on this side I'll just switch to the other side of the boat. I don't need a wet edge or anything, so I'll just go where the shade is. So I timed that last batch of epoxy, and the happy work time is about 25 minutes. I can stretch 30 minutes out of it, which means I'm going to use a little less epoxy next time. I'm just trying to find the sweet spot of mixing just enough to get exactly the amount that I need to get it done in the work time. So last time I did 4 pumps of each. This time I'm going to do 3 pumps of each and see what sort of a difference that makes. But I've already done on this one, well, the keel there wasn't much the rudder wasn't much there, but I've done all of this up to there, so that's pretty good news. I thought it would take longer. I hope I'm not messing it up somehow by going so fast, but the blisters aren't really deep. There's just a lot of really small sort of flaked off gel coat, so maybe this isn't going to be as hard as I thought. Knock on wood, I shouldn't have said that. It is 6:10 in the evening, and I just finished the entire hull of my boat. So tomorrow I'm gonna do the same thing. This is crazy. This was more than a 12-hour day, but I'm just so happy that I was able to do one whole hull in one day, because I thought this was going to take 4 days originally. So now, because there's only one shower, it's impossible to get a shower. I am on a mission to fill my bucket from the spigot and take a bucket shower in the cockpit. 6:30. I just finished my cockpit shower, and do you know what's really cruel is that there's a house across the street, or maybe it's a restaurant, that makes barbecue every single night, and it smells so good, and I'm so hungry, but I also so don't want to cook, and it just tempts me with its scents. I have all these vegetables that I bought, but I just have no desire to. Oh, I'm just so tired. I don't feel like waiting that long to have my food. So I think dinner's going to be the other half of my cucumber and some crackers and maybe a banana, because those need to be eaten. Just look at this beautiful dinner. 7 crackers with cheese and cucumber, and then 3 rogue cucumbers. Looks like I painted my nails. Oh my gosh, I can't get this off. It's like I tried really hard and it's just stuck. So please ignore. And 3 rogue cucumbers. And a cup of water. And my bug stuff, because the bugs are nasty here, the mosquitoes. I love calamine lotion. This shit stayed on me all day, through my legs sweat, through 2 rainstorms, and through being sprayed with bug spray. It's amazing. It's day 3 in the boatyard. It's probably 6:15 in the morning. I'm gonna do another set of laundry today. Yesterday it rained a lot during the day. I had to take my laundry in a little before it was dry, but it was just my sheets. Then, after that, I'm going to go around my whole boat again and finish the epoxy. So, yesterday I did a full coat. I did the entire hull. Today I'm gonna do the same thing, and then I'm done. And then I get to sand it and barrier coat it. But, I still need to buy a barrier coat, and Monday, which is tomorrow, everything's closed. Alright, today is day 2 of Blisters, and I went around my boat checking the hull before I got everything set up, and it actually seems like I got pretty much everything on the first pass. The other thing is that this fucking long weekend is so annoying. I don't have enough epoxy to do the entire hull one more time, which is good luck because I don't need to do it another time, but I have to be really careful, so I'm just gonna go around and spot check and feel on the hull and feel where I didn't quite fill in all the dimples, and then only do those spots so that I can make the most efficient use of the last of my epoxy. I only have about this much left in the bottom, which is kind of alarming. And today's a really rainy day, which isn't great for epoxying. But in good news, I'm sort of going along spot filling the blisters, and there actually aren't too many that aren't pretty well covered, so I should be able to get this done in a reasonable amount of time today. So I just finished my second coat of epoxy on the blisters, and I'm calling it good enough. I'm not trying to get racing boat level or baby's bottom smooth on my hull. I just want to fill in the worst of the blisters, and I think that I have done a very good job. of being mediocre. No, it's good. It's really good. The next thing I'm going to do is try to figure out why my bilge pump in the anchor chain locker isn't working. So to prepare for that, I have pulled out all the anchor chain and the rode. I'm replacing my rusty chain, so that I threw on the ground. Felt really nice. Everything else is on the deck. All the rode is in a bucket on the deck, so now that locker is empty, and I'm going to go forward and take it apart and see if I can get in through the little access circle. If not, I'll have to take the full door off, and I actually bought a replacement door that's bigger and easier to access, so if I have to get in at the pump again, I don't need to take the whole door off. Okay, since this activity is in my bed, I've taken off my nasty boatyard clothes, pulled back all the blankets, and I'm trying really hard not to get my bed dirty because I just washed the sheets. But I have taken my happy little lizards off, and this is what it looks like inside. This wooden bottom that you see is actually a false floor. I created the sump. I think it was one of my first episodes was when I put this bilge pump in, so I just need to pull this off and see if I can get to the bilge pump underneath it without having to take off the door. Okay, there's a considerable amount of water in there, and that's because the bilge pump doesn't work. Okay, I emptied all the water out of here just because I felt like it would be easier to work. Now, when the bilge pump broke, it was right before I hauled out, and it was going, it kind of lugged out and then it stopped, but now when I flick the switch, nothing happened, so it's leading me to think maybe it's not a clog, maybe it's a electrical problem, or maybe... Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is check the fuse, since I can't get my head and 2 arms into this hole. I'm going to put my GoPro in, and it's connected to my phone, so I'm going to set up the GoPro and then look at my phone from the GoPro as my hands are in there, if that makes sense. I don't know if I can film it because my GoPro will be providing the footage, but pretend it's like a robot surgery where the doctor's in the other room looking at a screen. That's what I'm going to be doing. Well, that was easy. Check this out. The fuse is just completely corroded away, so hopefully this is the problem. 8 amps. There might be another problem. Right now I'm borrowing a jigsaw so that I can cut a bigger hole in my anchor chain locker so I can install a bigger door that I can actually work through. So here we have this, and we're going up to the V-berth to cut a hole. And they are power washing the bottom of a boat right next to me. That's that noise you can hear in the background. So I really hope that when I open the foredeck hatch, water doesn't come in, because otherwise it'll be really hot in here, and I also need the cable to come in, but I think it'll be okay. It'll just be loud. So I have earplugs, but also the jigsaw is loud. So 4 o'clock. Let's see if I can get this done by 5. Okay, this game is called Don't Judge Me. I cut a small hole in this because I was trying to troubleshoot the bilge pump, but I didn't have a jigsaw, and so I used a combination of a handsaw and a drill to make little holes to break the wood apart, just so that I could get my hand in and try to figure out what's wrong with the bilge pump. So I'm going to show you what I did. But the name of the game, do not judge me. I'm going to do it properly. This is just my hack job. This is how not to do it. Okay, so I have traced the outline of the new, this I think I 5200 it in before I knew what 5200 was, so it's impossible to get out, but it doesn't matter because the new one is bigger than this hole, so I'll just cut through it. It's really soft plastic and it's not a big deal. Thanks for watching this week's video. I put up new videos every 2 weeks on Mondays, and for my patrons, you guys get a snack on the weeks that I don't put up a YouTube video. Thank you to all of my patrons for supporting me and making this trip possible. If you would like to become a patron, my Patreon is patreon.com/wintippy, and if you would like to give me a one-time donation, I have a PayPal. That's paypal.me/wintippy. And I have t-shirts, merchandise. In the description below, there's a little link to the shop if you want to become a Wintippy sailing t-shirt person like I am and so many others. That is cool. And thank you, Tish, for helping me get these videos scheduled online. Thank you guys for all your lovely comments and the love and support of this beautiful sailing community. It is wonderful. I may be wearing my shirt inside out, I just realized. So on that note, goodbye.